Hey, tourpreneurs, it's Mitch Bach, and just a quick note before we begin today's episode. Tourpreneur is currently sponsored by Google. We're thankful for their support of our community, and we are offering with them a completely free course helping you unlock the power and potential of Google's Things to Do program, which is specifically helping tour operators add their tours to Google in new ways that gives you new exposure and more direct bookings. To learn more, go to tourpreneur.com/Google. And as always, show notes, more resources, links to our newsletter, our business coaching community, and so much more are available on tourpreneur.com. Now to the episode.
You're listening to Arival audio recorded live at Arival Bangkok 2019 and distributed here by Tourpreneur. This research presentation by Chetan Kapoor, co-founder and COO of Vidic, walks through the essentials of the Indian market and explores how it's growing, the unique values of Indian travelers, and what operators need to know to win them over.
So what do you need to know about the Indian traveler and the Indian travel market opportunity? Its population, more than 1.3 billion people, who are taking almost 1.7 billion domestic trips, under 25 million outbound travelers growing at 10% per year, and spending more than $27 billion collectively on their international travelers. This is what you need to know about the Indian travel opportunity. But what you should know about the Indian traveler is the way that I would like to take you through the journey of this person, Jatin. He is 32 years old, lives in Bombay, a millennial, and his journeys, his travel experiences is an indication of a couple of 100 millions of Indian travelers. So bear with me as we walk through his travel experiences. When Jatin was just maybe 2 months old, he took his first ever trip. Like most Indians, his parents put him in the back seat of the car, took him to a pilgrim trip so that they could take blessings from the God so that they had Jatin. As he grew up, he traveled around the country, visiting strawberry fields, museums, as well as water parks with his cousins and friends. But one important thing over here, besides the fact that I am somewhere in these pictures, is that he never took the decisions of where to go and what to do. Obviously, he's a baby or less than 10 years old. As he grew up, he took college trips with his friends, inspired by activities and destinations he saw on television and movies. He got his first job. He started traveling around with the little money that he managed to put aside. He extended his work trips into leisure trips as well, once again crossing things off his bucket list. He is now an independent traveler, capable of taking his own decisions and doing what he always wanted to do. In this process, he also took trips with his girlfriend, who he then married, and together they went to places that now both of them had on their bucket lists. But what's funny here is that some things don't change. He always takes at least one family trip a year. And this family trip may coincide with his honeymoon, if you notice the clothes from the previous photos. And that is very common. His parents may or may not be living on the same floor of the same hotel. And that is an Indian traveler trait as well. But it's funny how life comes a full circle. 2 years ago, they had their first baby. But unlike his first travel experience at the backseat of a car, his son's first travel experience was on an aircraft, but again, going to a pilgrim site. In less than 2 years, his child has taken maybe 10 flights, 5 train rides across the country, again, as a combination of religious trips as well as meeting friends and family. Today, Jatin's travel can be mapped into all these countries. And once again, he is a relatively mature traveler now. He is an urban traveler. His travel journey is really kick-started about 7 years ago, and thanks to his work, he has traveled across many countries and experienced things at his own pace equally. And what is the thing that comes together and ties into all of this? No matter what phase of his life, where he went to, with whom he went to, experiences were the cornerstone of all his trips, from visiting zoos to taking water sports to going to vineyards, strawberry fields, climbing the Sydney Harbour Bridge, seeing aquariums. Experiences were in each and every part of his trip. So, what do you need to know about the Indian traveler? Just like any other markets, you could carve the Indian traveler in 3 wide buckets. Now, again, this has got no data behind it, but a very anecdotal take, right? First-time travelers, they're all about bucket lists. They want to strike off things that they've always wanted to experience or see. They don't mind cramping in multiple destinations, experiences in a single trip. They're all about traveling in herds, being comfortable with people similar to them who are experiencing these for the first time. And they love their Indian food. So do not ever mess with Indians or early-stage Indian travelers when it comes to Indian food. The slightly mature travelers, they spend more time in destinations. They've probably been to the destination several times, so they don't mind taking a couple of extra days just experiencing the local culture. They're more about traveling with people with like-minded intentions. They could be solo travelers or traveling with their friends or as couples. They do expand their business trip into leisure. How many over here have either come before the conference or going to stay back? Show of hands. Well, you're no different than the Indian traveler, but it's a very common trait, obviously. And they, again, don't mind spending slightly extra for relatively experienced, relatively premium experiences or doing something different. And obviously, at the top of the food chain are the super experiential travelers who want everything personalized, who don't mind spending more, staying more, and they are really the true influencers of what goes on within the mindset of the Indian traveler. How do you target them? More than 80% of the 1.3 billion Indian travelers are 18 to 50 years old. So it's a very young traveler population. Admittedly, only 24 million still traveled overseas, but that itself shows you the potential of the Indian market and the Indian traveler. Almost all of them are connected on mobile. A data plan, 4G data plan, costs a little over $2 for a month-long data plan of up to 30 GB a month. So they are always connected. And while India is a very content consumption mobile economy, there are more than 36 mobile commerce and payment company in the ecosystem trying to connect and merge the offline banking experience to the online banking experience with the help of mobile. And if you are an operator, how do you tap this mobile audience? Is to work with some of the top OTAs who anyway have access to the demand, or obviously working with smaller and more curated activities providers and specialists like Thrilophilia, Seek Sherpa, and the like. And when you bring it all together, the fact that we've got almost 1 billion people on mobile focusing on consumption, where do you target them? Besides the commercial platforms, is to target them on content-centric platforms. At most, we are still looking at 300 million people using a Netflix equivalent service called Hotstar. Just slightly under that is Facebook and the WhatsApp ecosystem. These are the travelers who don't, or users potentially, who don't shy away from consuming content because it's so cheap. And that could be one of the ways to go about it. And yeah, that's it, I think. If there's any room for questions? No?
No questions.
We
Thanks
hope
very
you
much,
enjoyed
Chetan.
this session from Arival, the only event dedicated to creators and sellers of tours, activities, and attractions. Head to arrivalevent.com to register for upcoming conferences around the globe. And for insights into the in-destination industry, head to arrival.travel.